Welcome back. I'm Speed at the bottom of the helix, right here between Kransberg and Omaruru. And on the map here, I want to show you from Uchu, Namibia, which is the country just northwest of South Africa. We have a musician, a 3D artist, a train fanatic, and now also a model railroader. Please welcome all the way from Southern Africa, Chrizandri Roth. How was your kill?
Thank you, Speed. It is such a privilege to be back on NMRA X again, and this time with something extremely special, and that is Railfanning Namibia, chasing the trains here in my beautiful country of Namibia. So whenever you're ready, Brad, you can play the video. Hello everyone, I am so excited and honored to be back on National Model Railway Association Online. This time with a very special video, something that is very close to my heart, and that is rail fanning and train chasing here in Namibia. Now, I love trains, and I love trains a lot. I've loved trains since I could remember. It's just one of my biggest passions and one of my biggest loves, and I keep a close eye on the activities of the trains here in Namibia and follow the news. You start knowing the locomotives like a personal friend, and each time there's some derailment or one of the locomotives blew an engine, it feels like you lost a friend or someone very close to your heart. I've had the wonderful opportunity to shunt around in some of these locomotives, these amazing machines. I've got to know so many employees and so many people working on the railroads here in Namibia, and I'm so excited to share a few stories and some train adventures that I do here in Namibia with you. So I really hope you enjoy this video. I've been working hard on it, and it's something that I'm so excited to share with the rest of the world, and it is our little railway, Transnamib. Transnamib is a parastatal railways, and today you'll have the opportunity to see some of the locomotives, some of the work they do, some of the freight they carry, the routes they take. You'll meet some of the drivers in the locomotives. I'll introduce them as they come by, and you'll also have the opportunity to see my wonderful, beautiful country. One thing I'm also very excited to share with you guys, since February, my last appearance on NMRA X, I've also become part of the model railroad community. And as you can see, this is my personal layout. It's called the Little Namib Desert Railways, and it's based on the Namib Desert here in Namibia. Now my collection is still growing, and I still don't have any Transnamib trains. There's a few people in South Africa that's currently building them, but it's extremely expensive. We are a very small community of model railroaders here in Namibia, and we have no hobby shop at all, no model railroading hobby shop, so we have to order everything mostly from South Africa and from the US and from Britain. So it is quite an expensive hobby here in Namibia, and you have to be very creative with what you use. For instance, the ballast I used on my tracks is cat litter, and the ground and everything you see went into nature, and I looked for everything that resembles anything miniature and nature-wise. So a lot of the stuff I made by hand, a lot of the stuff I had to be creative with, and it's such a fun journey, and I'm still not finished. I think you never finish. So now that I'm part of this community, I've got the virus now. It's infectious, so it's so wonderful, so wonderful. The people have been very, very generous with donations and sponsorships. I've received gifts from California, from New Jersey, from South Africa, from the UK. Everybody just excited about people in Namibia also becoming part of the community. So, and we try and help each other out as much as we can here in Namibia as well. But I'm just so excited to be part of the community, and it's such a fun hobby, such a creative hobby. As I also said in my previous video that I did on NMRA X about Blender, is out of desperation comes innovation. So please remember that. Never feel like wherever you are in the world that it's impossible to do something. You can always be creative, be innovative. Do something, and you have something unique then that no other person has. But that's enough of my little Namib Desert Railways. We're here for the real thing. So without further ado, let's start the adventure. are on our way to the town of Otjiwarongo, about 70 kilometers, 43 miles, southeast of my hometown, Ochu, in the central north of Namibia. It is my local rail fanning spot. The land is covered in a blanket of smoke. This year we've experienced record-breaking amounts of devastating bushfires that has left the land scorched and bare. Otjiwarongo is an important station on the main line to the north and merges with the main line from the south and coast of Namibia at Kransberg, between the towns of Karabib and Isakos. Today I was in for a surprise, because standing at the station ready to depart on a special run was the old articulated private coach number 3, built in Pretoria, South Africa in 1925. It is owned by Transnamib and being restored by D&M, that is contracted by Transnamib to maintain and upgrade the rail lines. On the coach was some very important people from D&M and Transnamib, one of which, Leon Steyn, once invited me on a trolley inspection run to Kransberg. Anyway, back to the interior of the coach. These are General Electric ex-South African Railways Class 33 and 33 400s, now Transnamib Class 33, nicknamed the Bosvark, or directly translated the Bush Pig. They were built between 1965 and 1970. They are old, noisy, smelly and dirty, and I love them. They are now departing Otjiwarongo on their way to Otavi, and we are going to chase them for a while. These sulfuric acid tankers on the gondolas were involved in a derailment about a month ago. This is TD602, coming back from the north with mostly empty unleaded fuel tankers and gondolas, and we chased it back to the Otjiwarongo station. The driver's name is Eriki Depot, a Hereru man. He knows me quite well by now, and I've even shunted with him before. Here, TD602 arrives at the station. The crew will disembark and the yard crew will take over. We will be following her doing some shunting work around the station, getting the Kansas ready for her departure later that night to Kransberg. This is a General Electric C23 EMP, nicknamed the Brazilian because they were imported from General Electric in Brazil in 2017. We have 6 of them. Just in case you were wondering, Transnamib still uses a vacuum braking system. Here we have TD 602 and 603 running elephant style and backing up to couple onto the consist that mainly consists of fuel tankers and gondolas filled with raw copper on their way to the melting plant in Tumip. A byproduct of melting copper is sulfuric acid, which is then again transported to the coast of Namibia for use in the mining of uranium at Rossing. This train has 32 cars. In Namibia, they never exceed 40 cars per train. Running parallel to the line to the north is a nicely maintained service road that can give you the opportunity for some amazing footage and train chasing adventures. Here we have two Class 33s ready to receive the crew, couple onto the consist and then leave for Kransberg, where again some shunting will take place to split the consist of cars going to the capital city of Windhoek or the coast. Take a moment to listen to the beautiful vintage sounds these Class 33s make. The driver of this train is the friendly Harry Karisep. Let's have one last train chase in the town of Otjiwarongo before we move on to my favorite locations for railfanning. After a successful day of railfanning in Otjiwarongo, it was time to go home. But just before we left, it's tradition to buy some chicken and stop next to the road and watch the sunset. So that was the town of Otjiwarongo, my local railfanning spot. But now I'm going to take you to my two favorite locations for railfanning Trans-Namib trains, and it's in the vastness and beauty of the Namib Desert. It's the Rossing Mountains, about 40 kilometers outside the coastal town of Swakopmund, and Swakopmund itself. That was TD606 and 604 hauling empty fuel tankers to the port town of Walvis Bay, and we are going to chase them through the desert. Excuse the sound of the wind. The wind is always extremely strong at the coast and in the desert, and even with added protection over my microphone, it still doesn't help to stop the distorted sounds of the wind. Here we have Transnamib 041 and 473 entering the coastal town of Swakopmund. TD605 and 483 are deadweight heading to Walvis Bay. This train is transporting empty sulfuric acid tankers to be refilled at the port town of Walvis Bay. This again is TD 604 and 606, with 457 as deadweight, heading to Walvis Bay. We will catch the train again in Swakopmund, after they picked up another Class 33 between Rossing and Swakopmund. This is 473, also exiting the town of Swakopmund and heading for the port town of Walvis Bay. This was the longest Transnama train we've ever captured, with 41 cars and all 3 Class 33s pulling. Note 33059, still in our original South African Railways Gulf Red and Yellow Whiskers colour scheme. For the rest of this video and the minutes we have left, I will show some of my other favorite captures and end with the original song from my Bushman friend Zacharias Cham. And there we go. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. The adventures I went on chasing Transnamib trains in my beautiful country of Namibia. As you can see, my children and I were extremely excited and can't wait for your questions. And there we go. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it.
That was an amazing video. So now we have a couple of questions. So, are you planning to build and use any Nambian engines or rolling stock?
Yes, we don't have any Namibian rolling stock or Transnamib locomotives or anything at the moment, but I'm working with a company that we're planning on releasing some Namibian rolling stock for that we can sell across the world. So hopefully that will materialize in next year somewhere.
Yes, so do you have a video of the railfanning trip you did on an inspection vehicle?
Yes, I do have it. It's on my YouTube channel. It's from the town of Otjiwarongo to the station of Kransberg, and you can find it on my YouTube channel, Chrizandri Roth. And there you'll see the DNM is the company's name, and the inspection run we did.
So when the switchman reconnected the vacuum hose, was that a plastic Coke bottle when he removed it?
Yes, a lot of the times we still use vacuum braking system in Namibia. So the problem is when you disconnect the hoses, it's extremely difficult to push them up. I've tried it myself and then get them over the little nozzle. And sometimes when you're not quite careful, the hose will suck over the nozzle and your fingers will be stuck between those those little between the pipe and the little nozzle. And so what they sometimes do is there's a bunch of like 600 milliliter Coke bottles lying around. So when they disconnect those pipes, they just press the 600 milliliter Coke bottle in. It fits in perfectly, and then they have no danger of getting their fingers stuck.
Do they allow locomotive drivers to use the bell?
Now, the only we have are Class 33, the U20C. They don't have any bells. They were constructed in South Africa and made, and so they don't have any bells. It's not something that we use here in South Africa or Namibia. So when it's only the C23s that was imported from Brazil who has little bells. So I've never had any experience of them ringing the bell, but I'm extremely curious to to ask them one day to turn on the bells.
And so, how small are the containers in Namibia? Because one of the flat cars looks like it had a container that was 10 feet or wide.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure about the dimensions of the containers. As far as I know, it's standard. The large containers is the standard containers they use inland, but those little containers, I think you can stack up to 4 of them next to each other. So because there's not a lot of packages or goods being that they need a large container for, they just use the little small containers and just stack them next to each other. But unfortunately, of the dimensions, I'm not sure.
So what type of coupling system do they use there? Because I'm aware that sometimes they use different coupling systems in different countries.
Well, they have the standard coupling system, the knuckler coupler that they use on the trains. So it's like standard, like in the US, and they have the gravity lock and the other lock, and you just pull the pin to release them. So it's the same like in the US and a lot of other countries. So
So we have one question here saying that the photography is quite nice.
thank you.
Is it due to what camera are you using, or is the sun also very bright?
No, actually, I think, like I said, it's a Namibia has natural beauty. So, and the sun always shines, which helps a lot with the lighting of the scenery. And like I said, the scenery is always beautiful in Namibia. But I'm just using my normal Nokia phone. I think it's a 6A that I'm using, a Nokia phone. But that's the only thing I'm using for the photography.
So what gauge is the railway in?
It is in millimeters. It's 1.67 millimeters or 3.6 feet. It's the normal Cape gauge they use in South Africa as well.
And so where is all of the rolling stock made? Is it made in Namibia, or sorry if I'm mispronouncing it,
No,
um,
fine.
or is it made in other countries and imported?
Some of them were made locally in South Africa. Sometimes Namibians and South Africans, we still see each other as the same community, and so a lot of the times. But so a lot of them were made in South Africa. But some of the new rolling stock that we received in Namibia, like the sulfuric acid tankers, they're imported from places like China. Yeah, so.
And so finally, the last question is: Are they controlled by radio dispatch? Because there were no signals in the footage.
Yeah, we have no signals in Namibia, none at all. So what they usually do is each driver has a specific phone. When shunting around the station, they use radios, but when going out on the main line, they usually use their phones to call each other and to hear where they are, and they still have the notebook that they write in the time slots and the location of the train, and that way they communicate whenever a train should go into a siding or if the line is occupied. And so that's a very old school way of still using it, but it works.
Well, that was all of our questions. If anyone has any follow-up questions that they'd like to ask, be sure to go and check out the breakout rooms over at werribee.com/MRL Aussies. So yeah,
Thank you so much.
our pleasure.
Hey, this is Tony Cook. I want you to do a couple of things for me here real quick while you're watching and enjoying this NMRA channel. Subscribe, like, and click the bell icon. That's 3 things. How many things did I say? Well, do these 3 things for me, and then you'll always keep up to date with all this fun stuff on the NMRAX. Thanks for watching.